the most I do not brag or boast. I'm coming to you guys live from coast to coast. Excuse me. It's your boy. I'm Chris the Don One. Welcome to another episode of Based on a True Story podcast. As always, rate, comment, subscribe. Share this with a friend, family, as well as a follower. Let's get this channel lit in the podcast algorithm. You dig? Okay. So today's story time is I'm gonna call this the player's wife. Okay. So peep this. All right. So this is when, you know, back in the day, back in the dizzy, we had this dude. He was like maybe 5 or 6 years older than us. Uh, we just knuckleheads don't know anything better. We trying to get things cracking, get things connected. Okay, have we didn't have no wave. We didn't have no juice in the street. We didn't have no wave. Okay, so we would re- we would try to relate with this dude. His name was Perry. Now Perry, excuse me, Perry was, like I said, he was much older than us, but Perry had his way with women. He had the gift of gab when it came to women. He was just charismatic. He knew how to talk to women. He knew what to say to women. He was just that dude. Okay, so we would all gravitate to him. So Perry was our superhero in the hood. Like in the suburb areas. Y'all had like y'all believed in Superman, Batman. Y'all had people in real life y'all can look up to. But in the hood, we had so few people we could relate to. So Perry was that dude in the streets. Okay, so Perry was at a level where we're trying to get at. We're trying to get our game on. We're trying to get our motion on when it comes to the females. Like I said, Perry had his way. Perry is the type. Perry's the type of dude that if you brought your girlfriend around to see the rest of the homies, the rest of the people, rest of the homies, you consider your homies family, right? Perry's the type of dude that would try to sleep, will not try to sleep, will sleep with your girlfriend in a heartbeat. Perry's that dude. We have heard all types of stories of Perry's activities with females. Perry would sleep with police women, he would sleep with married women, he would sleep with church women. Perry would sleep with other dudes' girlfriends. Perry was that guy. He was that one. Perry was, Perry was the first person I knew in the hood that had a wife, a girlfriend, a side chick, and something extra on the side. Okay, that's who Perry was. Perry spent his whole day finessing females every day, all day. We be wondering, we be saying to ourselves, okay, how do Perry makes money? How do Perry have a job? Perry didn't need a job. Perry really didn't need no money. Perry had, he had those women that would, funnel him money, just give him money because, Perry stroke game was immaculate. Pause. From what I gathered from other females. So, like I said, Perry's that dude. Okay. And we idolize Perry. We worship Perry. Okay. So one day, Perry, he would come down the hood, he would come down the street. And it was never a dull moment with Perry. Because Perry would tell us these interesting stories about his sexual activities, particularly dealing with females and stuff. And that's how we would get a lot of our game from. That's where we get our education from. That's where we get our information from. Perry was considered the internet before the internet was even a thing. If you wanted to know anything about a female, if you want to know anything about dating, if you want to know anything about bust them out, rush them out, Perry was that guy you would gravitate to. So it was never a dull moment around Perry. Now, when you was young, you believe everything that came out of Perry's mouth. But when you get much older, you start dissecting some of these stories. You might say, well, some of these stories may be true. A lot of these stories are may not be true. Some of these stories are authentic. Some of these stories got a little bit extra in them that just did not happen. Okay, but like I said, when you're young, dumb, and full of what, you just gravitate to whatever Perry tells you. So, if you had relationship advice, you'll go to Perry. Perry have a story for you. If you go to sexual performance, you go to Perry. Perry will tell you a story about it. If you want to, talk about, is it okay or not to give a woman a gift on the first date, you go to Perry. Perry got a story about everything. Okay, pretty much, particularly with female. Thanks for the thumbs up. Okay, so Perry, I'm gonna tell y'all a story that Perry, like I said, like I told you, Perry had a wife, a girlfriend, a side chick, and something extra on the side. Okay, so Perry's juggling them women, but also in the pursuit of other women. So how do I know this? I had this math teacher by the name of Miss Robinson. Miss Robinson, I'm gonna give y'all a description. Miss Robinson was like brown sugar colored skin. She had like a short bob. Uh, can I make? Oh heck no, dude. Uh, she had a short bob. Long legs. She had legs for days and had a fat ass. Okay, I couldn't stand a chance with Miss Robinson. Okay, for one, Miss Robinson was like in her 30s. You know, I'm still young, but I'm still going through my shy phase. I'm still going through my, I don't have no game. I mean, what can I say to her to fillet her out of those panties? This right here's a panty dropper. Oh, I didn't have none of that stuff. Okay, I didn't have the money, I didn't have the car, I didn't have the charisma, I didn't have the clothes, I didn't have the swag. I was just, a broke in. You did what I'm saying? So I never forget the day. I'm getting ready to come out of school. Perry comes pulling up. All right. And as I'm coming out of the school building, Miss Robinson comes out of the school building as well. She waves at me. Miss Robinson is looking at me as some young kid. Okay. Bear in mind, I'm like 18 years old. You dig what I'm saying? I'm not I didn't consider myself a kid. I consider myself a young man. But she always, perceived me as a kid. Okay. So that right there in itself was going to be a hurdle I'm not going to overcome. So as I'm coming out of school, Miss Robinson saying, saying bye to me. Perry pulls up. Perry said, hey, yo, youngin, you need a ride? I said, sure, because he's headed to the same place I'm heading. All right. Perry had an old school drop. Okay, I mean an old school drop. This thing was rammed up. This thing was lit from the bottom to the top. Okay, so Perry said, "You need a ride?" I said, "Yeah, cool." He sees Miss Robinson. Miss Robinson started doing that stank walk. The stank walk where they be shaking their ass and the ass just be swishing from left to right, right to left, clapping in between the walk steps. So he looks at Miss Robinson. Miss Robinson turned back, looked at him, gave him that eye. She continues to walk. He starts driving up to Miss Robinson. And he said, "Hey, how are you doing, Miss?" And she said, "I'm doing fine." She said a real quick fine. So that just led to me like, she ain't gonna give him the time of day. So he said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! I'm just picking up my butt. I came over here to pick up my bud. He coming out of school. I see you. You need a ride. You need a ride somewhere." She said, "I already have a car." And then he starts pulling into her car. He said, "Just wait right here, young fella." He gets out of the car, starts talking to her, and this did not last no more. I swear to y'all guys, this did not last no more than 2 minutes at the most. I think it lasts less than that. This dude already got this lady's number. I'm saying to myself, how can you be this good? You know what I'm saying? Y'all gotta realize, I ain't never been this good at this particular stage. Remind you, I don't have no swag game. I ain't got no talk game. I ain't got no money game. I'm not. My swagger is not there. But this dude is all that plus a bag of chips. Got this lady's number in less than 2 minutes. This is the first time they have met. This is the first time they have ever met. All right, already got the girl's number, and that's why I said Perry was one of those cats in the hood that you would admire. These are the guys that you wanted to be when you get at a certain age or when you get at a certain point or a certain phase in life. Okay, it wasn't. We wasn't looking at no superheroes. Okay, my fault. Hold up. Tom said, "Can you make it clap?" No, definitely not gonna do that. Linda says hi. Truck owner says hi. Linda with the hearts. Okay, I got y'all. I got y'all. Okay, hope y'all hit the subscription button, and I hope y'all hit the likes as well. Okay, the like button. Okay, back to the story. Okay, so yeah, Para's one of those ones. All right. So I ain't gonna never forget this day. So fast forward to high school. And I told you, if you checked out my previous stories, I told you I took a year off of school, trying to find myself, trying to understand myself. If I want to be deep like that, but to be real honest with you, I was super lazy. I just want to skip a year of school and go to college. Take a year off, then go to college. Okay. So went past that, went to my college phase, going to college, still haven't figured my way out. Thanks for the thumbs up. You know, so it's about 3, 4 years later after the fact. Okay. Perry, like I told you, he was older than us. All right. So I never forget this day. I was at a party, you know, still trying to get it right. You know, how you ever, you think that you're doing great. You take one step forward, but you end up taking 10 steps back. That was pretty much my life in a nutshell. Okay. For like for like that 4 year span, I was pretty much on that grind. Okay. So I was at this party. I was at this sorority party. I was with one of my friends, a bunch of my friends. We up here drinking, smoking. Ain't no big deal. My other friend, he's part of the sorority. Um, he's got his girlfriend. They talking. We just living it up. We just chopping it up. No big deal. Bunch of women in there. I'm getting nervous. I'm making mistake after mistake, introducing myself. I'm stuttering. I'm slipping. I'm sliding. I'm dropping. I'm stepping. Like what? Must on the beat, yo. Okay. I'm I'm just fuddling all over the place. I couldn't make contact. Okay. I'm striking out everywhere. Okay. So that's what's going on. All right. So I hear someone coming through the door. I wasn't paying it no attention. I'm still trying to, man, I'm trying to get up with somebody. And I tried with everybody. I tried with I tried with the best females, struck out. I tried with they're not the best, but they're somewhere in the middle, struck out with them. Tried the ugly ones, struck out with them. Tried the big ones, struck out with them. I'm striking out left to right. Okay. I'm desperate. Okay. I'm drowning right here in this party. So, like I said, I heard a no. Like I said, next thing I know, I hear a familiar voice. I'm going like, man, that voice sounds familiar. So as I'm walking into the living room, there was Perry. Perry is living it up with sorority girls. I didn't even know Perry was familiar with these people. Okay, these people come from college. So apparently Perry knew somebody who knew these that knew the people that had the party, that was throwing the party. He knew these people. He had some type of connection, whatever. All right. So I see Perry go to the kitchen. I follow Perry. I'm going like, hey, yo, Perry, how you got the connection with, how you knew these people, how these people know you? He said, oh man, that ain't no thing. He's basically telling me like he would sell weed to a lot of the college kids. So when the college kids, and he would sell weed at a discount. So the college kids will inform him when they have parties. And see, that's when he makes his biggest money. I'm going like, oh, okay. So it's starting to make sense to me. Okay. So he's halfway trying to sell something, and on the other half, playing the field like he normally does. He's the life of the party. He's the one that females want to be associated with. He's the one that females he's pretty much the one that females get that first kid from, thinking that they're gonna have a family, this, that, and the third, and they don't realize Perry just busting you out and rushing you out, pretty much. Okay, so that pretty much it. So some years went past that. All right, I'm in my work. I'm in my work phase. I'm going to work 9 to 5, trying to stay alive. Trying to keep the lights on, things of that nature. Some of my friends, my school friends, some of them have moved to other places. I know a few that still, in the city. Okay, don't really have time to party much. The biggest thing I do is maybe go to the club once in a while. Now by that time, the motion, I started getting a little traction. I started getting a little motion. Okay, I'm doing a little banging them out, busting them out, rushing them out. Not on no large scale as Perry, but I got a few. I got a few singles out there. If if this was a if I was an artist, I got like 2 or 3 hits in the bag, in the bag. I don't have a catalog of hits or a catalog of albums, but I got a few hits in between. Okay. I can live off that. Okay. I'm good. All right. I'm not on Paris level, but I'm good. I'm doing good. Okay. So one day I was at the park playing basketball, you know, I'm playing with some people, we going, what's up? We shooting, playing hoops. Ain't no big deal. And the outdoor basketball is like right next to the center. All right. And then normally in the center, normally the high school kids go into the center. You know, I'm much older, so I want to go outside and play basketball. Okay. That's where the OGs are, people your age, they're outdoors playing hoop. All we're doing is playing hoop. Inside the center, they're playing pool, hoops, games. It to me, that's not my type of cup of tea. That's not my party. Okay. So I'm up there playing hoops, this, that, and the third. Guess who I see coming down the court? It's Perry. Now, Perry at this stage, to me, Perry is not the same Perry I once knew when I was in high school. He wasn't the same Perry that I knew when I took a year off college. He's not even the same Perry at that level when I was going to college. Okay, now Perry, the swagger, he still got a little swagger, but not the same swagger. Okay, he still got a little motion, but not a lot of motion. Okay, Perry is outside his prime. Okay, Perry doesn't have Perry's got the wife. He doesn't have the girlfriend no more. He doesn't have the side chick no more. And he definitely don't have something on the side. If Perry gets something, he's going to get it. If he don't, he don't. Okay, so now Perry, he's not batting 1,000. You know, Perry's batting about 250. 250 is pretty good. It's a pretty good batting average. Okay, but Perry ain't the same individual he was when I was idolizing him as a kid. Okay, so I'm shooting basketball with Perry. We're shooting. You know, the day turns into night. I'm still on the court. He's still on the court. Everybody's wrapping it up. They going home, doing whatever. Okay, so I'm about to wrap it up too. Okay, so as I'm walking up the hill to go to my car, Perry, follows me, and man, Perry starts telling me, what he's been doing for the past couple of years. He's talking about, oh, he done got busted by his wife. His wife done called him cheating, and he's got a baby from another girl. That he's paying child support on. The wife knows about that. He's giving me this sad story. He's not giving, in the beginning, he used to give me all these fun stories I can learn stuff from. Now, I can still learn from the stuff that he's telling me, but it's stories that I'm not familiar with. Okay. It's real life stories. There's no happy ending with any of these stories. Okay. It's just an ending. And, he's going through some things. Struggle is real with Perry. Now he's talking about he's got a second job. He may have to get a third job. We chopping it up. I feel kind of bad for Perry. Okay, so as I'm getting to my car, Perry come up to me and said, "Hey man, can you do me a favor? Can I borrow like $20 from you?" I'm like, good. Perry's good with me. Perry's good with me. If I give Perry some money, I know for a fact I'm gonna give it back. I don't even have to ask. Perry's gonna give it back to me. I'm like, cool. I give him $20. Okay. He said, "Can you do me one more favor?" I said, "Sure." "Man, can you take me home?" What the fuck? Since when this happened? So apparently Perry got his car impounded. And he doesn't even have that old school car no more. He had to end up selling the car. So he got him a regular car, but he got that car impounded. So I'm driving him home. Man, he's telling me all these sad stories, and I'm thinking to myself, man, these ain't the same stories that I'm familiar with Perry in the first place. Now these stories are kind of sad. These stories, man, you can learn something about these stories. These stories are bland at best, okay? But I said, whatever. Sometimes when people tell you their struggles, they just want to talk to somebody to let the stuff out, to let the stuff go. Let me see if anybody been chatting away. Okay. So yeah. So I knew he needed someone. He just wanted to talk. He just needed an ear to talk. And I listened to all of it. It's a bunch of sad stories. Took him to his place. We pounded it. Talk about, hey man, I'll talk to you later. So I'm going like, cool, all right. He goes into the house. I drive off. Okay, I go home. I said, damn, I feel kind of bad for Perry. You dig what I'm saying? But hey, that's life. You know what I'm saying? Win some, you lose some. You're not gonna always be on top all the time. It happens to all of us, to the best of us. All right. So fast forward. I'm going to this chicken place. It was KFC. I go into KFC. I'm putting in my order, and this girl comes walking up to the register, and she looks kind of familiar. And then it dawned on me, that's Perry's wife. Okay, so now Perry's wife, she was accustomed of not working. She would just stay at home, take care of the kids, whatever. Perry got everything under control. All right. Now, the struggle's real. They need two parents to have a job, and it is what it is. So Perry's wife, I didn't, I'm going like, what's up? How's Perry doing? And she's giving me this story about Perry, got caught again. Okay, and then she done ended it with Perry. And I'm going like, oh man, that's sad. You know what I'm saying? I'm like this, man. I don't want to hear people. I don't like breakup stories. You dig what I'm saying? If there's some way to salvage a relationship, salvage your relationship. But man, don't nobody wants to break up a relationship. Okay, I felt bad for her. So she said, the store's about to close in 2 hours. I was wondering, she was wondering, can I take her home? Because, she doesn't have a car. She had to catch the bus. I'm like, okay, whatever. I said, whatever. Maybe I can get some info on Perry about giving me back my money. All right. Which, by the way, it's been a minute since he paid me back. But it's also been even a longer minute because I haven't even seen Perry. But I neither here nor there. All right. So I sit in the parking lot, wait a couple of hours. She comes out. She finally comes out, and I drive her home. I felt like that was the right thing to do. Okay, because Perry was there for me when I was young. Uh, you know, Perry took care of me. If I lose out on $20, I just lose out on it. I'll just chalk it up to the game. Hell, Perry, the advice and the stories he gave me was way valuable and way more than $20. And I'm not gonna ruin a relationship over $20 from my perspective. Okay. So yeah, we're in the car, we're driving, and she's telling me this story about Perry, how she done caught him cheating. Basically, he brought a girl to the house. He thought that she went to her mama's house, and she walked in, on them. They are in the living room, butt booty naked, and Perry shouts out, "It ain't what it seems." Man, it ain't what it seems. It's two butt naked feet. It's two butt naked people in the living room. One of them is on hard pause. What you mean? It ain't what it seems. Okay, that's neither here nor there. She gave me this sad story, and talking about that she done broke up with him, gonna put child support on him. I feel bad. They got kids and stuff, and she goes, you know, she says, yeah, I know Perry been cheating on me for a while, and I know you guys know he's been cheating on me, and none of y'all never told me that he was cheating, but I found out regardless. Felt kind of bad. I could have said something, but to me, I felt like that wasn't my place to alert you about your man. You should know your man more than anybody. You've been with him the longest. I felt like that was not my place to tell her that your man's out here, you know, slanging dick. Okay, so hey, look, that's on you. That's not on me. But that's how I phased it in my head. Okay, so I'm taking her home. She says, you know what? He had all this fun cheating on me and stuff. Um, Hold up, somebody done left a message. Let's collab. Now I don't know what you talking about. Okay, we never collab. Okay, I don't know what you talking about. All right, uh, so she was saying like, I want to have fun too. I want to go outside too. I want to, I want to mess with somebody as well. I'm like, well, you're an adult. You can do whatever you want to do. Okay, whatever. So I said, yeah, you're an adult. That's how I was looking at it from afar. I was going like, hey, you're an adult, you can do whatever you want to do. Okay. What if you like it, I love it. So then she says, I always had a little thing for you. I'm saying like a little thing for me. I don't know what you're talking about. Cause I'm kind of discombobulated. I'm kind of confused because I'm looking at her as Perry's wife. I'm not, and like I'm not looking at her in no other way. So then she said, yeah. I said, I want to do something with you. I'm going like, what the fuck? Do something with me? So you know how you have a devil and an angel on yeah, like you got the devil on your left shoulder, you got the angel on your right shoulder, and they're telling you the pros and cons about what you should do moving forward. Okay. You know, the angel saying, hey, look, Perry's been real solid for you over the years. This is like betrayal between you and Perry. Hey, don't entertain this energy. She just trying to get back at Perry. She knows that if y'all do something, then she's gonna go run tell Perry, and now you in some trouble, or Perry might take it the wrong way. Y'all might have to be fighting and stuff, and that's exactly what she wants from you. I could have thought, I wasn't even thinking even further. Like, Perry could, take me out of here. I wasn't even thinking that far. Okay, so that's what the devil side was telling me. I mean, the angel side was telling me. The devil side of me saying, man, do you realize it's been almost 2 years and you haven't crushed anything? I mean, not nothing. Technically, they divorced. She said they done broke up. So really, you're not cheating. You're not really doing Perry wrong. And besides, like she said, Perry, when they was married, Perry was soaking his oats all over town. What's wrong with you soaking your oats once with her? And he's not gonna know anyway, right? So I'm going like, so I'm weighing the options. You know, I'm basing my decision on my heart. My heart says, don't do it. It's gonna mess up your relationship with Perry. Perry is gonna look at you differently. It's just not a good look. No matter if she's married or not married. It's just not a good look. That's what my heart was telling me. But the man downstairs was going, man, it's been almost 2 years. Just buzz her out and rush her out. Okay. So I listened to the man downstairs. All right. So I figure if I don't do this now, then it's never going to happen. I just can't just tell her, yeah, let's do it tomorrow. And then I'm setting up for tomorrow. Now she done got to change her heart and to change her mind. Say, well, I don't think we should be doing it. You see what I'm saying? Because women, they kind of fickle. If you don't, if they say they want to do something at that moment, you better hurry up and do it at that moment because the next day is a totally different emotion. It's a totally different energy. Okay, they're gonna forget about what they told you they wanted to do with you last night. So I said, cool, all right. So I pulled over in this parking lot into the park. We up there, looking at each other, and she started looking at me. I started looking at her. I started hugging her, kissing her. We start, feeling on one another, and then, we start, she pulls away real fast. She said, "Oh no, I don't think we should do this." See, when a woman says she don't want to do this, you just gotta stop, dog. You just gotta stop. She don't want to do it. I know you got the urge, you ready to smash right now, but if she says she don't want to do it, that's a no. That's where you say, okay, now it's gonna hurt because you gotta hurt, because you still on brick. Okay. So you just got to follow what they want. If she says she don't want to do it, she don't want to do it. You dig what I'm saying? So I'm going like, okay, well, let me take you home. She said, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm not talking about, she said, just give me a minute. I'm just thinking right now. So she's going through a lot of emotions, okay? She's going through the same situation that I went through, but I already made my decision early because at the end of the day, yeah, me and Perry was cool. I had no issues with Perry, but at the end of the day, they are broken up. They don't. Uh, they're not in no relationship, so this is fair game. And if Perry was in this position with somebody else, you think Perry's gonna say, "No, I ain't gonna smash her because that's my man's girl," or "I ain't gonna smash her, that's somebody's wife." No, Perry would take advantage of it immediately. Okay, so I'm sitting back. And I'm saying to myself, I don't know what she's going to say. I don't know what she's going to do. So I'm saying to myself, okay, she's probably don't want to do this. Let me just go and be a gentleman and take her home. All right. So I get ready to turn the key in the ignition. And before I can turn it all the way through, she said, no, I'm not saying I don't want to do it. I'm just saying right now, I'm just going through a lot right now. But you know what? Fuck it. He had his fun. I want to have my fun too. And yeah, I smashed her in the parking lot at a park. I smashed her. Now, pretty good. After that, I ain't had no parts from her. We didn't do a part two. We didn't collab or anything like that. It was just one hit it and quit it, and we moved on. All right. Uh, haven't seen her since then. Yeah, I see her in passing. She don't act any differently. I might see her in the grocery store. I might see her somewhere in passing. She done moved on to another guy, you know, in passing. But she don't be mentioning, she don't be saying. We still have a decent conversation, but it's more like a distant conversation because now she's married to this Muslim dude, and now she done converted, okay, into the Muslim culture. All right. And every time I see her, we don't even talk. Hey, remember that time we smashed in the back seat of my car? We don't be talking on no level like that because I'm trying to respect her. She's found her a new man. She's in a new relationship. She's in a new religion. The most we talk about is what you've been doing for the past couple of years. Just keeping up to date with both of us. Okay, and that's the pretty much the mindset we've been on. All right. Now, have I seen Perry? Okay, then. I have seen Perry. And the last time I saw Perry, like I said, I took him home, coming from a basketball game. All right. And I haven't seen Perry since that time. All right. Now, the last time I saw Perry, Perry wasn't doing well. Apparently, Perry done got busted a couple of times with drug possession, with weapon charges, and things of that nature. Perry has been in and out of the legal system. Perry isn't the same Perry he once was back in the day when I was in high school, and we all gravitated to him because he was like a legend to us. He was like a hero to us. He was like a folk hero to us. You know, now Perry, he's definitely doing bad, trying to figure it out, and he's been in and out of prison. Okay, and that's all I can tell you about Perry. I mean, other than that, he tried one moment. He tried to get his life together, but he was so in too deep with his legal woes and stuff. He just said fuck it, and just gave up. He just lost hope and gave up. Okay, and like I said, the last time I saw Perry, um, he just wasn't doing well. He wasn't the same happy-go-lucky Perry. The swagger was gone, the style was gone. He still had that lingo. He knew how to talk himself in and out of something. Okay, so he always going to have that motion, but everything else then fell apart. Okay, and that's pretty much it for this episode. So tell me, guys, in the comment section, do y'all guys like these story times? Tell me, in the comment section, do you like them? Do you not like them? Um, do you want me to talk about other current event things of that nature? It's your boy, the host with the most that do not brag or boast. I'm coming to you guys live from coast to coast. I'm up out of here. I'm gone.